Hello everyone and welcome to another video from WhatCulture Wrestling, and it is that time of the year where it's time for us to speculate about the Royal Rumble, everybody's favourite pay-per-view, because the possibilities are endless, and as such we end up in a situation where we have expectations versus reality. So we thought it would be fun to go through all of the expectations for this year's Royal Rumble and maybe prepare ourselves for it in the form of a harsh reality that might come with it. I am Adam Nicholas, this is WhatCulture Wrestling, and these are 10 expectations versus reality for WWE Royal Rumble 2021. Number 10, how does The Fiend come back? Alright then, expectation. The Fiend will return in a huge fashion at the Royal Rumble. Lots of people anticipating this, and of course at the moment he seems to be inhabiting the body of Alexa Bliss in a form of a ghost, a soul, or maybe just a contact lens in her eye for the time being. It should mean a big return. Will The Fiend come back in some sort of strange stunt, some huge ceremony by Alexa Bliss? Maybe he'll come back in a fireball. Who the hell knows at this point? But one thing we do know is that The Fiend could come back changed and transformed. He has tweeted as much himself. He was in a cocoon. Is he going to come back all weirder than he already was? Well, the reality is he's probably going to turn back up with a bit of a burned mask. That's probably about it, really. Number 9, does The Miz cash in? The Miz has already come out and told us that he will not be cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and therefore, why would we not believe him? And that means Bill Goldberg can have a lovely match against Drew McIntyre and we'll all be happy. Well, the reality here suggests maybe otherwise, because it's interesting that Bill Goldberg has come back to face Drew McIntyre at the Rumble, is it not? Because what's he going to do? Lose at the Rumble and then just say like, okay, I'm not going to WrestleMania? And on top of that, is it not weird that The Miz has got his Money in the Bank briefcase back? Goldberg does not lose, very rarely. Drew McIntyre should not lose because he's done a fantastic job. What do we need? We need a triple threat. So the reality here, surely, is that The Miz is going to cash in at the Royal Rumble. He's going to probably steal a victory, if anything, and he could end up going to Fastlane to face Bill Goldberg, one of Bill's most favourite pay-per-views. Bill squashes Miz. Drew takes it back at WrestleMania 37. Number 8, Edge starts a feud with... what about AJ Styles? We've had a lot of Edge talking about who we would like to face from the current crop of wrestlers. AJ Styles' name has come up many, many times. Edge was a fabulous, fabulous defensive wrestler back in the day. He's the ultimate opportunist. He can reverse just about anything on the right day. A master of psychology. And AJ Styles is a man who throws more moves around than anyone else, and most of them are perfectly primed to be reversed into something. I mean, just remember, phenomenal forearm, Roman Reigns spear through midair. But guess what? Ding dong, hello, it's Mr. Reality here, and unfortunately, it's probably going to be Edge getting himself into a feud with Randall goddamn Orton one more time, because what does WWE have on their hands? They have Edge 1, they have Orton 1, they need the trilogy, and they think that is what we want. So prepare yourself for that, put your seatbelt on, because Rated RKO, my brothers, is coming back for round number 3. Number 7, making a surprise entrance in the men's Royal Rumble match is a man who's been hotly tipped to join the main roster is, of course, Damien Priest from NXT, who was all but written off NXT at New Year's Eve after losing to Karrion Kross, and we obviously heard the rumours that he'd been held back potentially from going up to the main roster due to Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens not seeing the storyline fitting well, which I think was a good shout, to be honest. If anything, keep him off the main roster in general, but that's a whole other video, that one. Damien Priest, though, is the man who we think could be coming up. That should be the one you should be expecting. Now, the reality is that the main roster, in any way, shape, or form, tends to do a lot of damage to anybody from NXT, as we've already alluded to. So I've got a funny feeling that instead of using this opportunity for Damien Priest, maybe we're going to get someone like Cameron Grimes, who's going to be right up there as cannon fodder, because let's face it, he's hilariously funny. He can get anything over down at NXT because he's handled well, but you've got a feeling that once Vince sees him and he's top hat, Cameron Grimes is going to go into the Royal Rumble, I don't know, probably eliminate himself while trying to catch his hat. Number 6, making a surprise entrance in the women's Royal Rumble match is... Now, if you're one of the WWE women of yesteryear, then the expectation here is probably that your phone is going to ring around January time, because they're going to need people for the Women's Royal Rumble match, and your name is on the list. Trish Stratus, for example, had an amazing moment with Sasha Banks, one where you could feel the energy, a good testing ground for WWE to see if fans are interested, and you bet you they were interested. So don't be surprised if someone a la Trish comes back to fill that slot. Again, we have to be careful in terms of mixing the bubbles because of everything that's going on. But on that same note, we mentioned the NXT NXT men's divisions, the NXT women's division are most likely probably going to get involved as well, and it could all be very exciting to see those women mixing with the women of the real past, something we might have not had loads of up to this point. The reality is it's probably just going to be Santina Marella again, because of course it is, because they love this gimmick. It's a man in a wig. Hilarious. Number 5, the winner of the WWE Championship match is... Now obviously based on our Does The Miz cash in expectation, this is going to have to technically count as in alternate expectation, if you will. But nevertheless, it can't be Goldberg. Can it? It just can't be. It can't be Goldberg. The man headbutts doors and is wheezing by the time he comes through the goddamn ropes, probably because he's inhaled all that smoke and sparks. It's just not the right fit. Drew McIntyre is in his prime. He's an absolute specimen. He should be eating Bill Goldberg alive. We need to see an absolute clear Drew McIntyre victory here in this big box office match, if for nothing else, to thank him for the hard work that he's been putting in. But wait, can you see something? Is there blurred lines in front of your vision, my friends? The noises, are they sounding muffled? Are they sounding distant? That is because you are a stupid little goldfish, certainly in the eyes of WWE, and as such, nothing here matters because reality has come knocking once again, and we won't remember any of this according to WWE, so who would be surprised if Bill Goldberg squashed Drew McIntyre flat, only for him to win later on, because hey, why make good long-term booking decisions when you can just make some disastrous short-term booking ones? And that, my friends, is the WWE guarantee. Number 4, the winner of the Universal Championship match is... Now yes, I too love Roman Reigns as the Tribal Chief. I love him as the heel champion, and I think he's doing a fantastic job, and I wouldn't be surprised if it stays in the other direction. But the expectation here is that Kevin Owens has been through so much. Why build him up in such a sympathetic fashion? Literally screwed time and time again. Why would you build him up like that, only to see him fall once again? Well, guess what? Reality's coming knocking again, my friends. And that reality is fairly simple. WWE can't really be accused of good storytelling, or maybe any storytelling at this point. Truth be told, the Roman Reigns stuff has been a diamond in the rough, but it's a rarity. And truth be told, this is happening because of repetition. This is happening because it should be sympathetic Kevin finally gets his win. The reality is, he's probably not going to. He's probably going to lose again, and he's probably going to be done as a top babyface for the time being, which is a real shame because he's been doing some incredible work and deserves that crowning moment, in my opinion. But hey, what do I know? Just a wrestling fan. Number 3, the Women's Royal Rumble is won by... Now, expectation here, through logic, would suggest that it can't be Charlotte Flair 2 years in a row, right? Because lightning doesn't strike twice. And I mean, I'm not even against Charlotte Flair as a performer. I think she's amazing. But what I do think is we got the last experiment showed us this didn't necessarily work the way maybe they had hoped, because Charlotte Flair defeated one of NXT's brightest who've been promoted to the main roster in the form of Shayna Baszler, denied her that Royal Rumble win. The momentum would have been huge, and on top of that, she used her own Royal Rumble win to go across to NXT and completely flatten the curve of the immense rise of Rhea Ripley. So on that note then, it surely has to be someone like Rhea Ripley, someone who's got a redemption arc like no other, because that would work, wouldn't it? Storytelling suggests to us that she was defeated by Charlotte last year. If she wins the Rumble this year and Charlotte somehow dethrones Asuka, you can see that being something WWE does, then those two could be set for a collision course again at WrestleMania 37. If it's not Rhea Ripley, there's a good chance it could be someone, or should be someone, like Bianca Belair, right? Because she has been picking up a head of steam, and no less, she has the gimmick of the EST. And while she is a fantastic performer, you can imagine WWE are more excited by the fact that the letters EST are actually in the logo for the show, the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. You see what we're doing here? But the reality here is that with a tear in her eye, most likely because WWE are booking her to be awful to her beloved father Ric Flair right about now, Charlotte Flair will win the Royal Rumble once again. Because if you're still beating the dead horse and the money's still coming out, why stop? Number 2, the Men's Royal Rumble is won by... Okay, expectation, Daniel Bryan, because the symmetry and the synergy here is just too perfect, right? I mean, in 2014, he was too popular to win it in WWE's eyes. In 2015, he was too popular again and got eliminated real quick so that Roman Reigns wasn't overshadowed. That worked out really well, didn't it? But now Roman Reigns is a monster heel. Roman Reigns is the champion we need to see dethroned at some point in some way, shape or form. Who better to be the man, full circle, to finally win a Royal Rumble like he never has, and to finally get a rematch against Roman Reigns where the roles are reversed, I guess? Not that Bryan was ever the heel, but you know what I mean. This is the one for me. This is the choice for anybody who has half a brain cell. And now, the harsh reality of the situation. The Daniel Bryan dream is there. We would all expect and love that, and yet we are probably going to be getting something more along the lines of hand puppets and something more along the lines of clown masks and spooky bullshit and flames, because yes, the Fiend is most likely going to turn back up. Clear out everybody, maybe even chuck Daniel Bryan over for good measure. Synergy, and then after that, he's going to go off to WrestleMania with a new hand puppet called Haggis the Highland Cow so he can take on Drew McIntyre. I can't wait, can you? And number one, with a bullet. They can't bring back Brock Lesnar again, surely. So alright, then bear with me. Expectation for this one. Let's just say, for argument's sake, and maybe even for hope's sake, Bray Wyatt doesn't win the Royal Rumble match. Instead, maybe Bray Wyatt turns up and takes Randy Orton away to do weird clown spooky stuff to him, and then the lights come back on and the field is clear. Now, who wins this at this point? For the point I'm trying to make, doesn't really matter. For argument's sake, let's just say it is Daniel Bryan. I don't know. Let's just go back on everything I've just said, but just for now, that's a placeholder name. Let me get to my point about Brock. You see, no matter who wins the Royal Rumble this year, it can't be Brock Lesnar. It shouldn't be Brock Lesnar, because as we've seen already, the repetition of Brock being part of the title picture scene absolutely killed the momentum of the likes of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. It did not work. Fans were tired of it and they didn't want to see it anymore. And as was proven when he disappeared after losing to Drew McIntyre, he hasn't been back on WWE TV, and it doesn't seem like a coincidence that they spent a lot of time investing time and money in Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. We now have two guys to lead the show. Those are our superstars. But the reality here is very, very simple. Brock Lesnar is always, and I mean literally always, just one big envelope full of money away from coming back to squash all your hopes and dreams. And the man enjoys it. The man's good at it, let's be honest. I mean, think about the Money in the Bank 2019, man. However, in this moment, oh, not so much. And yet, why do I feel like Drew McIntyre should be very afraid? Because what happened last year? He beat Brock Lesnar. What does Vince think is this amazing soap opera-esque storyline? Brock Lesnar coming back to get his revenge at WrestleMania 37. Hold on to your hats, brother, because shit is about to get beastie.